put on the box. When the housewives read the new instructions upon trying to find out how the cake mix worked before they bought it, that changed their mind. Now, most people will say, well, what sense does that make and how does that work? And therein lies what the occult actually is, what the knowledge of the occult is, which is what these psychologists applied. That's what we have to understand the occult is. It's deep, ancient, ancestral psychology that is being applied against people who have no idea about how it works. The egg is a symbolic archetype of feminine energy. It is the creative essence of the female that combines with the sperm to create life. It is the feminine fertility symbol. So that is what they were putting in the mind of the housewife. Now you take what we've given you in the cake mix, the instant cake mix that's very easy to prepare, okay? And after you have that, you add an egg to the cake mix. So now symbolically, virtually, through proxy, you are giving your feminine creative essence into the project. And in doing that, those housewives are now assuaging that guilt that they previously felt by not putting enough of, quote unquote, themselves into this undertaking for their family to make this cake. In adding the egg, that psychologically assuaged that guilt subconsciously without those women ever even understanding what had been done through the back door psychologically to them. That, ladies and gentlemen, is what the occult actually is. The cake mix sold like wildfire after they only changed the instructions on the box to add a symbolic archetype to assuage that psychological guilt subconsciously.
Wow.
Now, if that's not a powerful enough example, I don't know what is. This is what people have to begin to understand that occult knowledge is and what it can do and how it can be applied in a perverted way in society to act as sort of a weapon against people that don't understand how it works. I would suggest that's much more than just clever advertising or clever marketing techniques. I would suggest that that is an absolute perversion of someone else's free will decision-making processes, because you are using knowledge that they lack to essentially steer their mind in a particular direction without them even understanding how you did that.
Absolutely, and obviously that was decades ago. No telling how perverse this is in advertising now. We see it with the commercials, McDonald's, Burger King, fast food. You know it's bad for you, but you've just got to go to the drive-thru right now. And Rob Dew actually did a report on GMOs. There were a lot of activists calling for labeling for GMOs, and then they took them to this sort of think tank meeting, and by the time they got out of it, they were all pro-GMOs. So it's just pretty amazing how easily we can be programmed. Obviously, I know you've got a ton more information that people can find on your website, whatonearthishappening.com. But just in the last few minutes, is there any advice on how to avoid all of this, or is it all just a matter of educating yourself to the reality so that you can, avoid being brainwashed, basically?
Well, I would say, like any other aspects of problem solving, in looking for a solution to what we're facing today in our world, which is certainly about mind control and occultic manipulation of the human psyche through knowledge that is being perverted and exploited. The first step is to recognize that the problem exists and to begin to understand not only that the problem exists, but what are the causal factors of that problem. I would suggest deep ignorance is one of the largest causal factors of the problem that we face as a species. We could talk about the symptoms, and all the different aspects of society that are broken until we're blue in the face, but they're really symptoms and they're effects of the underlying causes. We need to stop trying to treat the symptoms, and we need to go into the realm of consciousness and the understanding of this heretofore occulted information, this occulted knowledge, because it's knowledge that has been hidden about how we work. That's some of the most important knowledge that there is self-knowledge. And then the other knowledge that's been hidden is the knowledge about how the universe works, particularly the spiritual laws of the universe. See, when we start to understand the causal factor lies in ignorance, we're making a diagnosis about the causal factors of the problem. We're not just treating the symptoms. And if you just look at the word diagnosis, that's the first step of healing. You got to make a diagnosis about what's wrong. Dia in Greek is a prefix that means through or by way of, and then the word gnosis in Greek means knowledge. So we're going to get to the solution by way of knowledge, through the knowledge of the causal factors of the problem. Then we can understand how this manifested condition that we've arrived at, called the current human condition, which so many people will say we do not want to be present and we want to get out of this current condition of slavery and control, okay? We can't do that unless we have an accurate diagnosis through knowledge of what the causal factors that created that manifested condition actually are. And in a nutshell, the answer to that, the knowledge that we need to understand, are those spiritual laws of the universe, what I simply term natural law. And my working definition for that is the universal, non-man-made, binding and immutable conditions that govern the consequences of human behavioral choices. So they're universal. That means these laws exist everywhere in creation. There is nowhere that you can go to escape them. They are in effect and you are bound by them. They're non-man-made. They weren't put into effect by any beings in the three-dimensional world in the universe. They were put into effect by the creative force in the universe. Call it God, call it the underlying intelligence behind everything. It doesn't make a difference what you call it. It's the creative energy that ultimately began everything and set the laws of this realm into motion that we call the physical universe. These laws are binding and immutable. That means they're in effect whether we understand them or whether we like that they're in effect or not. And we can do nothing to change that these laws are in effect, just like we can't change the law of gravity or the laws of electromagnetism. They are in effect in the universe, and they are always in effect. We are bound by them. We only can understand their workings and then choose whether to align our behaviors to those workings or not. And what these laws, these spiritual laws, ultimately do is they govern the consequences of our behavioral decisions. When we make a choice that is in keeping with these spiritual laws, therefore, that behavior is actually a right under this natural law or spiritual law, then we receive one particular set of results. When we act in opposition to these laws, and therefore we are acting immorally, and we are not taking behaviors that are our right to take, we receive a completely different set of results. It's very, very simple. I simply call the laws that govern whether a society is free or not. The law of freedom. Freedom and morality are directly proportional to each other. As morality increases in any given society, the freedom of that society will also increase. As morality in any given society declines or goes on the wane, then the freedom of that society will also decline, and that society will go ever more toward tyranny and enslavement. True freedom can never exist in a society that embraces the concept or the ideology of moral relativism. This is the main problem that is driving our society into tyranny and slavery. Moral relativism, again, is the idea that there is no inherent and objective difference between right or wrong behavior. So humanity may be the arbiters of that. We can decide what right and wrong, or decide for ourselves through our whims, our likes, our preferences, what right and wrong are for ourselves, that they're not objective standards of behavior that are set in spiritual law. So the real solution is to understand natural law, the universal spiritual laws that govern the consequences of our behavioral choices, whether we choose morality or immorality. The only way we're ever going to get out of this mess that we've worked ourselves into is to become truly moral beings and to increase morality throughout our entire society. That's when we'll make progress toward true freedom.
Yeah, and that's really powerful, because you can see that that's what is happening to our society right now. We have become waning more toward the immoral side, and you see the tyranny is rising. It's kind of working perfectly into their plan. Well, Mark, thank you so much. We're definitely going to get you back on to decode the matrix and other things there that are just so interesting. But if you want more information, whatonearthishappening.com. Mark Passio, thank you so much.
Leanne, thank you so much for having me on the show today.
Stick around, because right after this, we will be live in studio for our State of the Union coverage. City of Austin tap water versus filtered City of Austin tap water.
I can taste dirt in it.
God knows what's in this.
This has an aftertaste.
Tastes like Austin water? Yeah, it does.
These people just sampled City of Austin tap water straight from the faucet. Next, we had them try a sample of tap water filtered through the ProPure G2.0 filtration system.
High quality H2O.
That one is better.
Tastes like nothing.
Yep, I know what good water tastes like. It's good water.
Most tap water contains added substances like fluoride, chlorine, Monsanto's deadly pesticide, glyphosate, and many others. Studies prove that these substances are linked to an assortment of major health issues, including tooth decay, lowered IQ, and even cancer.
It tastes like you're drinking out of the lake when you're drinking tap water.
Yeah, it has that processed flavor to it.
The ProPure G2.0 filtration system removes these deadly substances and many more, leaving only fresh-tasting, deliciously clean water.
Okay, this is very tasty.
It's good water.
Refreshing.
It's good.
Go to InfoWarsStore.com today. Use promo code WATER and save 10% off your ProPure purchase. Again, that's InfoWarsStore.com or call 1-888-253-3139.
You are watching the InfoWars Nightly News, which airs 7 p.m. Central at InfoWarsNews.com. And your support is helping us defend liberty worldwide.
We are Anonymous. We are Legion. Anonymous has many different faces and flavors. Some corporate, some governmental, some white hat backing some black hat. This transmission is important because we represent the largest contingent of white hat activists dedicated to human liberty worldwide and the destruction of globalist tyranny on a planetary scale. On this momentous occasion, we wish to address the chief figurehead of the West, Barack Obama, who in a matter of minutes will address the world in another State of the Union. In your speech, you will claim that you are battling ISIS and Al-Qaeda in the Middle East, but your own military and former top generals have gone public this day, exposing the fact that Western governments are behind the funding of ISIS and Al-Qaeda to destabilize all of Africa, the Middle East, Europe, and the world. You will speak tonight of racial unity, while your agents, Eric Holder and George Soros, spend tens of millions of dollars a month causing racial division and hatred in the streets of America. Your collusion with the Republican tyrants in 2014 to pass regulations shining the American people onto trillions more of derivatives is another crime for which you will soon be exposed. You swore to repeal the Patriot Act, but expanded its powers. You signed the NDAA, allowing the secret arrest, torture, and execution of American citizens. And now your operatives in Congress have reintroduced CISPA to censor and control the internet and muzzle free speech. You lied over and over again about the true nature of Obamacare. It's increased prices, cut workers' hours, raise their payroll taxes, established death panels, but most importantly, increase the profits of the insurance companies more than 40+%. Yes, you've done a fabulous job. And now you want to increase gas taxes and carbon taxes, but American competitors are exempt. That will only ensure more of our jobs are shipped overseas. You had more off-the-record meetings with lobbyists than any president before executive orders than any president before you. Doubled the national debt when you promised to cut it in half. Everything you said has been a lie. You are a fraud, and by exposing you, we expose